Diego Pavia of the Vanderbilt Commodores, the quarterback who sued to play a 7th year of college football and got it, is now feeling a little high and mighty because he got that extra year of college football. And that high and mighty has taken him to say some crazy things. Diego Pavia has decided to take shots at the Vols. He's decided to take shots at Alabama. And he's decided to say he would mutilate himself while daring to mention national championships. This is crazy, and it is 4 Downs, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. And we want to say Cooper Mays is going to ask you guys now to hit like and subscribe. And first down from Coop is this. Diego Pavia said Vanderbilt will run Tennessee after this season. This was all made during an appearance on Bussin' with the Boys, the podcast. Pavia said, quote, Vanderbilt is going to run Tennessee after this year. This is going to be the new staple of college football. It's going to happen here at Vanderbilt. Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. They want to come to Nashville. So Vanderbilt. Then when we have like the most money in NIL, why not come here? So we literally just have to win this year. And throughout the rest of the year, it'll take care of itself. Okay, that's the first dumb thing he said. No matter how much Vanderbilt wins, and they have shown winning in the past, and this is something Diego Pavia may need to learn about, there have been other times in history, go back to the James Franklin years, where Vanderbilt was a top 25 team while Tennessee was missing out on a bowl game. Vanderbilt still wasn't out recruiting Tennessee. Tennessee was still the bigger deal in the city of Nashville. There were more Vol fans in the city of Nashville. Diego Pavia is coming from Albuquerque, New Mexico, doesn't really understand the state of college football in that area. There's no amount of winning Vanderbilt can do to make them the bigger school in Nashville. Now, again, I've talked about this. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, big debate, okay? Memphis starts winning in football. They compete with Tennessee fans in basketball. They can actually outnumber them at the Liberty Bowl. Memphis basketball already outnumbers Tennessee at the FedEx Forum. But in Nashville, Tennessee fans will always outnumber Vanderbilt fans. There's no amount of winning Vanderbilt can do to change that. And to think that that would happen after 1 year of success, if it did happen, Vanderbilt would have to be competing for championships and winning at a high level over a period of 40 years, while Tennessee would have to be irrelevant. It would have to be like what happened during the 1920s up until the 1950s, where Robert Nealon built a dynasty while Vanderbilt fell by the wayside. So it would be a 40-year thing. It's not going to happen after a year. So that already is an asinine statement. Cooper Mays, 2nd down. Yes, I'm pretending to read Cooper Mays. Pavia says this group is capable of accomplishing anything. He says, in reference to potentially winning a national championship. I kid you not. Asked if they could win a national championship. He goes, for sure. I have no doubt we have the guys to do it. We have the firepower. We have the depth. We have the defense, the offense. Like, we would be selling ourselves short if I was to sit here and tell you we don't have the faith to go and win the national championship. And then he said that you win 10 games, you're in the SEC, you're in the tournament, then it's anyone's game. I like me over everyone, talking about how Vanderbilt could get to the college football playoff. And he said that they could beat Alabama again. Okay, that's not the craziest thing he said, because what are you supposed to do? Pretend that, like, are you supposed to pretend that you don't believe in yourself to win every game? I mean, I get that. That's a mentality you want, even if it's delusional and crazy to think that you're actually going to go win a national title. However, the next quote he said is even crazier. Tennessee center Cooper Mays brings you 3rd down, and Diego Pavia says, quote, I bite my ear off to win a national championship. The natty is going to be mine. Yes, he said he would cut his own ear off. He would mutilate himself to win a national title. Well, you don't need to mutilate yourself for something that's not possible at Vanderbilt, guys. Sorry, you don't need to mutilate yourself for something that is not possible at Vanderbilt. 4 Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford. A quick message from them before we get to 4th down.
a beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Employee pricing is here. You pay what we pay on all new Ford models. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
4th down from all SEC center Cooper Mays. Is Diego Pavia delusional? That's the question we got to ask, guys. Is Diego Pavia delusional? Does he need to be checked into a psych ward? Thinking you can win a national championship and that your school will run the state of Tennessee. Is Diego Pavia delusional? No, he's not delusional. Okay, I think Diego Pavia is just trying to talk to get confidence up for his team. But part of talking to get up confidence or instill a lack of confidence in the other team is to have it be somewhat valid. You can't just say stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, for instance, when Rasheed Wallace said they will not win game 2 when Detroit was playing Indiana in the 2004 Eastern Conference Finals. Well, they were both in the Eastern Conference Finals. You could say they won't win game 2. You were the 2 seed. They were the 1 seed. It works then. It may work then. It doesn't work when you have a mediocre team that is proud of 6 wins and say, oh, yeah, no, we're going to go win a national championship. What? No, that's not how that works. I'm sorry. Diego Pavia is definitely delusional with what he's talking about. Now, I closed the last poll question. Is any college football record more unbreakable than Tennessee pitching 15 straight shutouts? 76% of you said no. 23% of you said yes. I've now moved on. What is a bigger delusion Diego Pavia has? Vandy will run Tennessee. Vandy can win the national title. Right now, Vandy will run Tennessee is actually a bigger delusion at 57%, and Vandy can win the national titles at 43%. I think I kind of agree with you guys on that. It's actually a bigger delusion to say Vandy will run Tennessee. Now, what about winning the national title this year? That might be a bigger delusion. Like, what's more likely? Vandy wins the national title this year, or at some point, sometime in the future, Vandy runs the state of Tennessee. I still think both are kind of crazy, all right? It's kind of funny to think about with Diego Pavia, the way we're talking about this. I mean, this is just something that's not going to happen. And we're talking about a guy, again, Diego. Vanderbilt hasn't had, if I'm not mistaken, a top 25 finish since James Franklin. You guys can check for me on that, but I don't think they definitely never got one under Derek Mason. And the best they ever did under him was 6-6 in the regular season. They haven't gotten one under Clark Lee. The best they've done under him was 6-6. So yeah, no, their last top 25 finish was under James Franklin in 2013. But yeah, sure, they're going to win a national title when they've never finished better than 500 since 2013. I mean, this is insane, guys. This is insane to talk about. It's ridiculous. What it actually reminds me of is it's a really silly thing to think about. But who remembers when Derek Mason became the head coach at Tennessee? I'm sorry, the head coach at Vanderbilt in 2014. And yes, they had just finished in the top 25 2 years in a row, largely because the SEC East was severely down during this time period. I mean, severely. This was Tennessee at its lowest point. Florida had collapsed under Will Muschamp the second year. They did have a good team the first year. Vanderbilt was only dealing with Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, but they were beating up on Kentucky and Tennessee. Missouri had basically there was never more than 3 good teams in the East. The other 3 were bad. Vanderbilt beat up on the bad teams during that time period and did just enough to get a top 25 finish those 2 years. But Derek Mason gets hired in 2014, and he says, quote, SEC East, here we come. Make no bones about it. Oh, and by the way, Vanderbilt's annual rival was Ole Miss. 2012 was Houston Nuts. I'm sorry, 2012 was Hugh Freeze's first year. Ole Miss was still down in the dumps from the end of the Houston Nut era, so they were a bad program, so they were cashing in on that. So Derek Mason gets hired in 2014. It says, SEC East, here we come. Make no bones about it, because if you can't talk about it, you can't be about it. They weren't winning the SEC East ever. And then Derek Mason, as Vanderbilt's going to play Tennessee that year, he doesn't refer to them as Tennessee. He refers to them as the team out East when they were 2-9 going into that game. The team out East. Okay. It was one of the funny things, by the way, if you want to talk about how bad Tennessee football as a program was during this 2010s period, Derek Mason actually oversaw a 3-game winning streak against Tennessee from Vanderbilt. But that's not happening anymore, guys. I'm sorry. That's not happening anymore. And yes, Tennessee is absolutely not going to be run by Vanderbilt. But both Derek Mason did a lot of talking then. Derek Mason had more credibility to do the talking than Diego Pavia did, though. At least he inherited a team that had 2 straight top 25 finishes, and he was coming from Stanford when Stanford was kind of at its peak under David Shaw and Jim Harbaugh before then. So there was some credibility with Derek Mason. There's no credibility with Diego Pavia. You went 7-6 last year, 6-6 in the regular season, and yeah, you beat Vanderbilt with their first year under Kalen DeBoer. Really, 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 really delusional. Okay, this is laughable to think about. Vanderbilt's they're not running the state of Tennessee, and no, they can't win a national title.